pleased and honored to invite up to the stage Dr. Jack Travis and Don Ardell. Anywhere you want. So I have to ask the question, the obvious question, how was it looking at yourself 35 years later?
I miss the red beard.
But he still has the beard.
And a little on top.
What was it like back then?
We had to spell the word wellness on the phone to people.
Seriously?
Seriously, yeah. Wellness. And over and over again.
He gets applause for that. But in a much more specific example, you had your work cut out for you because, as it was even explained in the video, people didn't understand it.
Even Dan Rather did.
Calling it a cult.
Because, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dan collapsed self-care with wellness. They're really two different things. Self-care is part of the treatment paradigm, which is fixing things. Wellness is learning and growing. They're two different important phenomena. But he didn't get that in the piece.
Well, he's still in treatment. It's okay.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, you had challenge after challenge after challenge, just in coming up with an acceptable definition that wasn't going to scare people.
Yeah.
Don, you've been covering this for a long time. You've been putting together the numbers. You've been trying to figure out what makes sense. What were some of the initial advances that you guys were able to do in terms of getting that perception changed?
I don't think we've got many advances so far. We're still working on it, but the dabbling and omnibus tinkering that has taken place over the past 35 years has made it possible for people such as our present audience to begin to coalesce the best elements that have been presented over the years and make something really special that goes beyond health and, of course, ignores self-care. That's for other people to do. There are medical doctors, and there's a world of folks out there who are wisely and well attending to medical issues. I believe that the next focus should be on matters that are not health-related primarily. They're related to quality of life, to exuberance, to joy, to happiness, to meaning and purpose, to living the kind of lives we enjoy while we're at a summit like this every day of our lives.
I mean, when I go back to that video, and we were all around in 1979, so I have to ask this question. The medical profession themselves was resisting this in many cases, correct? What did you come up against from the doctors?
Well, I was flown out to Medford, Ashland, near Ashland. I was considering opening a center in Ashland when I was deciding where to...
Ashland, Oregon.
Oregon. And the director...
Site of a great Shakespeare festival, by the way.
Yeah. So I was to give a noon grand rounds at Medford Hospital with doctors, and they didn't get it at all. It was like a hostile turf. I eventually settled on Mill Valley because I'd lived there. I knew the area. It was a wealthy ghetto of people who had discovered...
I love that,
material.
wealthy ghetto.
Yeah. They discovered that money doesn't make you happy. Marin has one of the highest suicide rates in California, partly because of the Golden Gate Bridge, but...
Well, access.
So I chose that because insurance wouldn't cover what we did. I was only able to keep the center open 4 years because it lost money. I made enough to cover it by selling my house eventually, using up my savings, because people would spend money on preventive care for their car, but they wouldn't for themselves. So I learned that lesson the hard way.
All right, so you had the medical community that was not exactly on board, right? Mm-hmm. The media, not exactly totally on board, right? So where did you start to turn the corner?
Which
Don,
corner?
you say we really haven't yet, but...
what corner, yeah.
Well, pick a corner.
Well, what's interesting is that what drew Don and me together was who I call St. Halbert Dunn, who wrote the book called High Level Wellness in 1961, and I found it on the clearance table at the Hopkins Medical Bookstore 10 years later. And he coined the term high level wellness. The word's actually 300 years old. You can find it in 1654 was the first use of it. But he had a much broader definition of wellness, a mental, emotional, cultural, societal, spiritual, all of these dimensions that we're just beginning to, like this morning was mentioned, the physical, mental, and social, leaving out the emotional, and it's the limbic part of our brain which connects us, not the thinking part. Mind-body medicine is really the wrong term. It's mind-emotional medicine. And the spiritual component, where Don and I have some differences we could get into, which is different than religion. Quantum mechanics, to me, defies my Newtonian view of the world. It's a really weird world that we live in. And so if we don't address that part, it's the deepest level of what I call the iceberg of layers.
You're talking about the emotional part.
No, that's spiritual.
Spiritual
which
part.
is below the emotional.
And you don't agree with that?
I don't know what it means. Ask 10 people to define spiritual well-being, and you'll get 10 different answers. There's no unanimity, there's no consensus about spirituality.
But does
And
there
it's been-
but wait a minute, does there have to be?
No, of course not. There doesn't have to be anything along these lines. But I think it might be helpful if we use words that people generally understand.
Like?
Real wellness. If you put it with the modifier, or pick another one, but I've chosen real wellness. If you put a modifier in front of a word that's vague, then you have an opportunity to define it yourself. And when I use REAL, I can then emphasize the R, which stands for reason, critical thinking, evidence-based living. The E is exuberance, happiness, joy, meaning and purpose, and the like. The A, which is athleticism and nutrition, and again, evidence-based, relating to what works. And L, which is one of the most important areas. People initially think it's love, but I throw that in with exuberance.
Well, that's the selling point. That's the selling point.
I've got a better selling point.
What?
Because I've got love covered in exuberance. So I need the L for liberty, for personal freedoms, for living your life the way you want to live it, for creating opportunities to be the kind of person you want to be and to evolve to your best possible self.
And is that working?
Well, it's working for me, and it's working for people who read my books. So
That letter is P for plug. Where would you say, even though you say we have so much far to go, has been the biggest advance in getting that understanding? Has there been any sort of a turning point?
while I'm thinking about that, let me defer to my friend here to see
Well,
if he has some suggestions.
At least we have a platform now.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
when we started out in the 70s, what Don and I thought was wellness got dumbed down by the medical profession in the 80s to make it acceptable, mainly the physical, and then a little bit of stress reduction and sort of into the mental. Then we had mind-body medicine and now mindfulness. It's moving in that direction. But there's a platform at least, and that to me is a huge step forward. So the adjective I put in front of the word is full spectrum, covering all these dimensions, because just wellness is too cheap. It's dog food, actually, if you Google it.
I would add to that a tip. If you really want to experience the kind of living that I just termed real wellness, get away from health, get away from medicine, read Carl Sagan, read people who are doing creative things in other realms of society. Read the 19th century great American orator, Robert Greene Ingersoll, who said that the highest possible philosophy is to enjoy today, not regretting yesterday, not fearing tomorrow. And so let us suck this orange of life dry, so that when death does come, we can politely say to him, "You're welcome to the peelings. What little there was, we have enjoyed."
And your book is available where?
It's a secret.
No, it's not a secret. Go for it. You said the medical industry dumbed you down in the 70s, right? They did. When did they turn around, or did they?
I don't think they have. Do you?
They're in process.
Yeah.
The leadership is in process.
Yeah.
And in what way are they turning it around? You say it's in process.
Well,
but-
there are individual doctors. I mean, this is one of them, but there were quite a few other doctors in the 70s and 80s who took a leadership role in promoting wellness, as we like to think of it. So it's been happening. It's just that there's a certain level of embrace that needs to occur. And the spa world, I think, could be the best hope for rapid, fast-forward advance of the wellness concept.
Because?
Because they're not tied into the existing
Yeah.
modalities. Spa is the great hope for the near future of the wellness concept that we care about.
And you agree with that, Jack?
Yeah, I've heard it said that
He agrees
America.
with you. Look at that.
Yeah. America is the greatest experiment in loneliness. It's the most disconnected culture on the planet. And most of our problems have to do with disconnection. And what I discovered is my whole career can be summed up in 6 words. The currency of wellness is connection, and the lack thereof leads to illness. And spas provide a vehicle for replacing the lost village, community, tribe, extended family. They could be a place to bring people together, to use wellness coaches, to work with their staff, to create what we're missing the most, which is community and connection.
Well, that's a very interesting point because it's one of the things I stress all the time about the loss of connectivity and the loss of community. We think connectivity means technology,
No,
but it doesn't necessarily.
There's another element to that, and that is, yes, connections are very important, but make sure you get the right connections.
Yeah.
There are a lot of negative connections out there. I would add to it and say, get yourself in the right conversations.
Yeah.
That is, be present when other people who can embrace reason and embrace love and embrace the positive qualities of existence are doing their things, whether it's in writing or in conversations or in media or whatever. Expose yourself to the positive, and that will make a difference.
Now, 35 years later, we know what the misperceptions were then. What misperceptions still persist?
Well, I think we're still connected way too much with the medical system,
Yeah.
with the
The
healthcare
treatment.
system.
It's all about treatment, whether it's traditional or alternative. It's still fixing. I found a picture in a throwaway magazine I labeled The Pill Fairy. It showed this little guy with his mouth open and a fairy dropping a pill into his mouth open. That, to me, epitomized the whole medical system, the treatment paradigm, whereas the wellness paradigm is like 2 people flying along together learning and being peers. It's education as opposed to fixing. And that blurring of the lines, that wellness really is about education, about growing and connecting as opposed to fixing.
Well, you know, we talked about the medical community. We haven't talked about the pharmaceutical community.
No, don't get me started.
Oh, no, that's my job. I got to get you started. Have you made any progress there?
I haven't even tried. I don't see much future in it. They've got an agenda. That's the ultimate of the treatment paradigm, and it's another reality. So I'm, not somewhere I'm going to go. How about you, Don?
Spas are very much associated with treatments and products and services, and that's well and good, and there's no need to change any of that. But when you're thinking of the kind of wellness that we're describing now and 30 years down the road, try to think of that which you don't need anyone else to provide for you. The greatest need we have is education for whole person well-being, for living your life in a manner that is consistent with the most positive aspects you can think of. Ingersoll said that the time to be happy is now, the place to be happy is here, and the way to be happy is to make others so. Reach out and try to be of service to others, and that can do more, as Viktor Frankl and other positive psychologists have been describing for as long as we've been talking about wellness.
Looking at the history of the wellness movement, we know what challenges you were up against, but what mistakes were made on your end? Were there?
No, I don't think we could make any mistakes. No.
Don. Work with me, Don.
We should have been talking about the things we're talking about now 30 years ago, but it takes a while to learn this. And by the way, I think we should also be honest and acknowledge that while wellness is not a complicated idea, and you don't need to be a scientist in order to live a wellness lifestyle or promote a wellness framework, it's not easy for people under the best of circumstances to A, even learn about it, and then B, the most important or difficult of all, to sustain these qualities over time, because cultures in all societies, particularly in affluent America, are not set up to support.
Well, they work against it.
Customs and traditions work against it. It's not easy to find a place to safely exercise and all the rest. Just go down the line. It's something that requires discipline. If you really want to be fit, you have to work at it. And so the same is true as if you want to dine in a manner consistent with optimal physical states. Then you get into mental well-being, and you got some more challenges that are significant. But it can be done, and we need to help people to move along.
Right, so we know where we were, we know where we are. Where are we going to be in 5 years?
It's up to these people. It's up to all of us, really. We don't know where we're going to be. Hopefully we'll be here. So we live in a dangerous world. Let's start with peace and serenity and calm and understanding, cooperation. Let's begin there and then move on and try to do things for our personal well-being and flourish as best we can in the short time we have on this earth.
Well, I'm reminded of the story of a woman standing in front of the Western Wall in Jerusalem, and every morning she sees at 7 o'clock in the morning a 75-year-old man come precisely at 7 every morning, goes to the wall, puts his hand on the wall, prays for 45 minutes. He's there Monday at 7, Tuesday at 7, Wednesday. By Thursday, she can't believe he's every morning at 7 o'clock. By Friday, she can't help herself. As he's leaving, she says to him, "Sir, I couldn't help but notice, but every single day you're here at 7 o'clock in the morning, precisely at 7, you go to the wall, you put your hand on the wall, and you pray for 45 minutes. Could you tell me, what are you praying for?" He said, "I'll be glad to tell you. I want the Jews to love the Arabs, the blacks to love the whites, the Indians to love the Pakistanis. We live in such a world of hatred and violence and death. We need to be in harmony and peace and love and synchronicity." He says, "Well, is it working?" He says, "No, it's like talking to a wall." So, thank you. So, are we talking to a wall?
Yeah, but it gives that person a bit of serenity to do that. And meanwhile, he's only there 45 minutes. It's made him feel better. He can go off and prosper. So we all have our rituals, and let's choose functional rituals.
Well, I think the wall is the established pharmacomedical mafia, basically. And sidestepping that, going to spas, for one, being a primary vehicle that is outside of those constraints that can, all along it's been a sort of subversive operation, wouldn't you say, Don? That we're slipping it in wherever we can, under the radar, and to avoid direct confrontation, because it is a wall, and it's a big wall that's likely to fall on you and crush you if you're not careful.
Well, one of the reasons for that, of course, gets down to that 5-letter word called money.
Yeah.
Okay? But there's money in this room. There's money in this industry. You started in Marin County. There's money in Marin, right? You didn't start in another ghetto, so to speak, right? So when you get your role models together and your converts, if you will, both in the medical profession and in the population in general, then you have something to deal with. And then the money can flow there, can't it?
Yeah. And I think this is the ideal platform. That's why I'm excited that we got to come here and examine the fossil record.
Well, we're excited that you got to come here for another reason. We have a little surprise for you. We do. Susie, can you come up here a second, please? Is your mic on, Susie?
I don't know.
There it
yes,
is.
I think it is.
Go right ahead.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much. Well, I am so delighted that you're here. I met Don first, met Jack second, and I have your book, High Level Wellness, your wellness inventory, and I think that we, as an industry, actually really do owe a debt of gratitude to these two gentlemen. They have not benefited financially from what they've done. They were way ahead of all of us. And you paved the way, and now we have the opportunity to hopefully be doing something that would make you proud and taking it further. But we want to make sure that you are properly honored here. And so the surprise is that we, this year actually, are starting the Global Wellness Awards, and they are in 3 categories. One is in innovation, one is in sustainability, and the other one is a woman leader in wellness. And the board of directors decided that our innovation award is going to the 2 of you. So I'm going to ask Sammy to come up. Sammy is going to hand them these awards, and we'll do some photos. But first, I want to, Sammy is sponsoring this award, and we have a sponsor for each of the awards, and I just want to have you say a little bit about why you wanted to sponsor this award.
Okay, hello everyone. So first of all, I want to say that I was last year a sponsor of the Student Challenge, which was really very interesting But when I got the chance to do this new sponsoring, I thought just try something else. It's always good. We are in industry, we try new treatments, we try new spas, and this is one of the reasons. So I make it short. Thank you.
Thank you. Will you jump, please? So I would like to, this is, yes, Dr. John Travis, and this is for Don Ardell. And we just are honored to give this to you, and we hope that you will enjoy it and know that all of us in this room know who you are. Thank you for what you've done, and we really appreciate your being here today. So, congratulations to you, John, and I want you to just say a few words.
A few words, oh. Okay. Yeah, I'll let you hold it. I'm thrilled, thank you, that you've brought this group together, and I'm delighted to hear the ways that you do it, too. I wish I had a little more of that ability to get people on board. So I'm excited to see the potential and what will, 5 years from now, what will we be talking about? So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And this for you, Don. Congratulations.
Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just very fragile.
Well, I'm not speechless. I'm thinking of something that my pioneer in wellness, an American orator of the 19th century named Robert Green Ingersoll, said when he addressed a group of Civil War veterans in 1890 in New York City. It was late in the evening, and he said, I'll think of this a moment. Whenever I'm at a gathering such as this, I almost wish I had had the making of the world. And what a world I would have made. In that world, unhappiness would have been the only sin, melancholy the only crime, joy the only virtue. Whether there is another world, nobody knows. Nobody can affirm it. Nobody can deny it. Nobody can collect a toll from me, claiming that he owns a turnpike. But whether there is another world, but if there's another world, I hope that all good fellows, and I'll add ladies, will be welcome.
Thank you. I agree. For you. Peter, come in the photo.
Congratulations, John.